the the two big umbrellas that really make sense with Trireme and HIPAA links or your platforms is one, the ultra low bit rate
Right.
that provides high quality video to be streamed, on twisted pair even, and then also, the concern for customers or people dealing with high volumes of video storage and what that looks like for the new MPEG compression and how that can help you service state of Virginia or be the go-between as the sales agent, reaching out to some of the clients that have um, those types of needs for video management, storage, and all of that. So, John, those are the two biggies that I'm sure they're both very interested in.
Well, let me give you just some quick background on how we got started and where we are now, etc. So Trireme itself was founded in 2016. Dr. Prokin, who is the co-founder with me, Dr. Prokin and I have been together working since late 2009. And we developed the very first, I say we, actually it's he developed, I was the financing and the business guy behind everything. We developed a compression methodology for MPEG for the U.S. Armed Forces. In essence, we won a contract under Teledyne to build a ultra low latency video compression for DevGru, which is SEAL Team 6. And so we built a ultra low latency video compression methodology. We sat with we were at MacDill Air Force Base with an admiral from the Navy who basically manages DevGru, and he said, "Gentlemen, I need you to build me a compression that I can get information back to Fort Meade to be analyzed, and then back to my guys in the field in 6 seconds." Which means I want a drone not only to see it's a white SUV flying over the desert. I want to know if it's got a military age man in it. I want to read the VIN number. I want to know if he shaved today. And I want that information transmitted. We'll give you all the bandwidth. We'll give you 2 satellites, whatever you need. I want that sent to Fort Meade for analysis. And I want it back to my guys who are holding a handheld in the field in 6 seconds or less. Can you do it? And we looked at each other and said, probably not. But we actually got it done. And so we built that in beginning in 2009. We actually delivered the whole package to them in early 2011, I think February 2011, and we're on our 9th upgrade of that. It's still being used. In fact, now it's being used by every major service that uses drones: Air Force, Marines, Army, Navy, etc. And we also 2 years ago we got permission to provide our technology to the SAS and the SBS, that's Special Boat Service, and the special guys, special warriors in the UK. So that's our genesis of how we did this, how we got started. Since then, and what Trireme is a technology holding company. We have now, John, we've added another one. We have 43 different technologies. Some are ready for prime time. Some are actually in the market. Some are still under development. And our job at Trireme, specifically my job, is to basically finance these projects, get them ready for marketing, find strategic partners, etc., and go out. So what we're talking about with you guys right now is our newest generation of video compression. In essence, we saw the need in 2014, 2015. We saw the need for additional compression as the bandwidth gets choked off by more and more cat videos and other things that people post, pornography, whatever people are watching. Currently, 83% of all the pipe across the globe is video content. That's amazing. When we started this in 2000, late 2014, it was only about 55%, but now it is what it is. And obviously, people want higher quality video, so higher quality video means a larger package size, which means even less and less bandwidth. So we went out and we built an ultra low bit rate version of MPEG. And what we've actually been able to do, we've been able to compress video without a new codec. So we're basically using MPEG. MPEG is a standard. We've been able to compress video up to 97% of its original size with practically, and I say practically because it's impossible to say totally, practically zero loss in quality. And what that means is that I can deliver an H.264, I can deliver a 4K video over a 2 megabit connection with a VMAF score of 96, which is unheard of. H.265, I can deliver that at, basically 0.75 megabits per second. Now, not too many people are using H.265. H.264 seems to have survived, even though people are saying it's going to be this. AV1 is a pain in the ass, as everybody knows. It's a proprietary codec that they're trying to force people to use, but really no one wants to use it. It's very hard in the editing booth and other things. But so we're able to compress video dramatically, and depending on what your needs are, we can do a lot for you. To give you an example, currently Netflix makes up 16.2% of all of the content on the internet. That's just Netflix, one company. 16.2%. If they were to deploy our video compression, it would go from 16.2% to just under 2%. And that's a big move. And our feeling is, even though people will say, oh yeah, well, it's going to be, was it the G5 was going to help it, or 5G is going to help it, and now it's going to be 6G is going to help it. The truth is, when the very first time you launch a autonomous vehicle which has 16 cameras that need to be transmitted, you've eaten the entire pipe. It's gone. So the solution that we have for the problem that some people are facing, not everybody needs it, but is that we can basically provide you with high quality video compression, where we can reduce the bandwidth to your specification. So if you don't want it, you say I don't need to have 1 megabit per second, I could deal with 3. Fine, 3 megabits per second. We can provide that at basically no at 3 megabits per second. We can give you a VMAF score of 99. And that's over a standard connection. And everything works from the customer out, from our client out. So the customer doesn't need any additional hardware, software on his device. If you were to basically use this, the customer wouldn't know anything other than he gets a better connection. And the issue that we really see coming up, which is something that not a lot of people read into this, but currently there are around 5.4 billion potential streaming customers globally. Only 1.3 billion are connected, and that's connected either by a mobile uplink or by a fixed link. Now, that doesn't mean that, I mean, when I say connected, meaning that they're buying a streaming service. The last 1 year ago, it's an association that basically tells you how much bandwidth there is in the world and who has what average bandwidth. there's a broadband something committee. They said the average bit rate across the globe is 3.3 megabits per second. Well, if you look at your Netflix account, it says they recommend for standard definition 6 megabits per second. For high def, they recommend 15, and for ultra high def or 8 or 4K, they recommend 25 megabits per second. And that's a disclaimer for them, because they say, well, who's gonna, if I buy a Netflix, if I'm paying $16.99 a month, and I've got a 4K TV, but I can't watch anything more than 480 or even 720. Why am I doing this? And so what we're allowing people to do now, so the streaming providers, is tap a source of customers of about 2.5 billion customers that are either mobile connected or fixed broadband connected, that don't have, more than 3.3 or 3.5 megabits per second. We can now give a Netflix, a Hulu, whomever, the ability to deliver a full HD or even a 4K signal to that customer, which means the customer will now pay for it, right? No one's going to say, well, I want to buy your $16.99 plan, but I have to, it spools in order for me to get a 480 signal. That doesn't work. So we open up the market to billions of new customers that no one else can get, for whoever takes advantage of this. And that's kind of our secret sauce, and that's kind of what we do. If you go to triremecompression.com and you can actually look at, we have samples on there of films that we were able to compress, and you can look at them side by side, look at the difference, and we can actually do demos where if you give us a video, we'll compress it in less than real time and give it back to you, and you can test it for yourself. So we're quite excited about our product. Unfortunately, we went out to sell it at the very beginning of COVID. And the problem with that was not that people didn't need it. It's that I like to say the streaming companies' foot caught on fire. They thought their steak was done. They didn't really realize what was going on. They said, "Oh, well, we're growing at a 7% per quarter. We don't need any help." Okay. And as soon as COVID was over, now streaming companies are cannibalizing each other to get customers, because there's only so many customers that will pay, that have the bandwidth to receive a signal. And obviously, when you begin to compete based upon price, you're dead, which is why Amazon Prime now is going to putting commercials in. Now, the commercials are generally for Amazon products, but I'm a Prime member. They sent me an email saying, if you don't want commercials, it's going to be an extra $5.99 a month. Right. Like, what?
Yeah,
it's stupid. Disney has that plan, and Netflix has a $6.99 plan. Why do they do that? Because basically they can't compete unless they're competing based upon price. So that's kind of our story right here. I don't really know what you guys do. I looked a little bit about it. Now, one of the interesting things you do have in your HIPAA links is that we have the ability also, and we were asked to do this, and we tested it. We have the ability to deliver mathematically lossless video with a compression ratio, compression of basically between, say, 68 and 82% reduced size, which, again, same situation. You got a telemedicine visit in Appalachia. They're using twisted pair on a DSL modem. They only have 2 megabits per second. We can get that clean video between the doctor and the potential patient. So we can democratize a lot of the plans that people have for telemedicine.
Yeah, that's great. The HIPAA link side, absolutely. I mean, our primary focus is the telehealth / video component of it.
Right.
And speaking with and collaborating with the client, but extending that further, it's going to eventually be into kind of where imaging comes into play. You have doctors who want to go over MRIs, CTs, and clear, crisp video, and collaborate on those. So that would be like my handoff of, okay, if we can compress better and give a better quality that's almost seamless, then that's probably where we would absolutely go with that on HIPAA Link.
If I were, excuse me, if I were in
Okay.
your business, what I would do is I would go to the doctors and say, listen, I can show you mathematically lossless MRIs, CTs, whatever, but you need to promote our service between you and your customers.
Right.
So
Right.
it's kind of like the Gillette model. I'm gonna give you the handle for free, but you got to buy the blades. Anyway,
Right.
I was thinking about that. I wanted to say that before I forgot about it.
Yeah. Well, look, you asked about the history of us too.
Sure.
So VideoNet itself was put together roughly around since 2009 is really where we were starting things out
Mhm.
with VideoNet. Even before that, we were doing things actually even before my time with Vito, and the team before was streaming like through MLB
Mhm.
network, doing a lot of like conference calls between each organization, things like that. And
Mhm.
they needed those T1 or those Polycom machines, you know,
I remember
the
those.
good
Yeah,
old
I had one.
geez.
I
Yeah.
actually still have one in a box here somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, it's just insane what they needed, right? And in court systems, we were in Utah courts, Virginia courts. They all use those systems. We tried to get them off of that, right? Because they wanted to be more mobile back then.
Mhm.
So we were focusing on a couple of things. First, it started off with government. So we dealt with government agencies. Virginia is our #1 contract we've had for 15 years. And we do have a distributor that we're working with that I think obviously one of their biggest needs is being able to do uh, training throughout the whole state.
Yeah.
Every organization needs that. They can't find anything for what we can even try to develop to ourselves is something that's so uh, quick that they can live stream and get live questions and answers at the
Sure.
same time, right? So
Yeah.
that turnaround always takes about a 30 seconds to a minute delay
Yeah.
because of that, right? I know that's a huge market for them in there right now as we speak. So
Mhm.
if we were able to put something together, I think that would be an awesome
Well,
footprint for
on
them.
that point,
Mm.
we have been by June of this year, we'll come out with our next product, which is going to basically be we're marrying our ultra low bit rate with our ultra low latency. So that means that I can basically give you a video link, a video link where your latency is less than 1.6 milliseconds,
Mm. Wow.
and
Yeah.
reduce the file size as much as 90%.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, that's going to be a big thing. We're also adding to it. We haven't perfected it yet, but we're buying a company that does instantaneous AI translations, and they have showed us theoretically, we haven't seen it practically yet, that they can match our latency of 1.6 milliseconds, which means that you and I could be having this conversation. I could be speaking to you in Spanish, and you could hear it in English, or you speaking to me in Mandarin, and I'm hearing it in English or Spanish or whatever. So they've got a language node with I want to say 91 languages they've got in their AI portfolio. So we're hoping that that's gonna pan out to be as practical, work as well practically as it does theoretically. If it does, then we'll have that by June of this year.
Wow. Yeah. That's it's amazing. Something that changes the whole spectrum of how we do things. You know. And then
Communication is everything,
mhm,
and everything is communication. I was taught that a long time ago.
yeah.
I didn't learn it really until my late 30s, but it's true. If you communicate, things become very easy.
Yep. I guess the other part too is there's because we have everything from in-house to
Mhm.
uh, outsourced teams everywhere. You know, we can pretty much put together anything that there is as long as there's a need. We've had a
Sure,
couple of projects where we've spun something up, give it away, spun it up, but that's using current technology. So taking a little bit of a understanding of where you guys are coming from with yours, how does it work, what's the compatibility, where does it need to be, where does it
sure,
reside, does it have to reside, like those
sure,
are the
yeah, sure.
questions that my teams will ask and stuff like that. So
Well, let me
typically
let me answer those as as non-technically as possible, because I'm not the technical guy, Dr. Prokin is, but let me just say that we are client side, meaning we're client side. We would basically go before your uplink. So let's just say you have a video on your server.
Yeah.
We would compress it either at the server or after the server, outside your firewall, inside your firewall, depending on how trusted you felt about our stuff. And there's two ways to do it. There's obviously there's the live streaming side of it, and then there's basically the legacy side, which means that basically we would do an offline archival and compression, which obviously then saves you a tremendous amount on storage. If you give me 100 terabytes of information and I give it back to you reduced 90%, your storage costs just went to places where you want it to be. And if it's stored in the same quality or better quality than what you originally shot it in, obviously you and your customer are both happy.
Right.
As I said, there's no additional software or hardware, as long as the person playing the video or receiving the video has a modern player. And I say something that was made after, say, 2010. It's all MPEG standard. We're standardized. So MPEG committee has said, okay, this meets our standard. That's fine. We're also DICOM compliant. If you know anything about DICOM is basically the compliance standard for medical imaging.
Okay.
So again, if you want to use this if a doctor wants to use this to store X-rays or MRIs or CT scans or whatever, we're DICOM compliant. And again, reduces the size dramatically.
With respect, now that I have a thought in my head, with respect to encryption or any kind of standards there, federally they ask for things to be FedRAMP certified or compliant.
Yeah, we have a so let me just say that we have a encryption technology that we also have, and we're currently using that with the U.S. government. So we haven't distributed a commercial version of that, but we will have a commercial version of that as well. Now, I found that people don't really care, what you have. They're going to use what they have because they trust it. So just like any file, our files are all within your purview, your ownership. If you want to take our compressed and encrypt it your way, that's fine. It's not going to adulterate our file at all. If it's MPEG standard, it won't, right? So you don't ask Sony Pictures to basically encrypt their product before they send it to you so you can play it for your customers. You say, we have our own encryption. We do it at the point. And I'm sure if you're FedRAMP compliant, then that's fine. And it's the same thing with us.
Okay. Well, there's a lot we could probably even take back and kind of think through. Demos, examples, and stuff like that would be helpful for us.
Sure. There's demos on the website if you want to do
I did see a couple of those.
Demo.
Yeah.
Do a specific demo. Come up with a video. You send us a video. I'm going to ask you not to make it more than 3 minutes. Make it as complex as you want it to be, and give it to us as in the purest form you can. In essence, don't give me something that's been compressed 50 times and say, here, recompress this, because I have to undo everything to compress it. So if you want to give me a 2 or 3 minute file that represents what your customers need, and tell me, what the bit rate you want is and what the quality you want, we'll do it in real time and give it back to you. And then you can test it yourself.
Okay. You said there was like 43, technical apps that you guys are working on, or you're.
Yeah. So we have everything from we have a new battery technology to wireless battery charging to encryption, compression, blockchain. Basically, we have an enhanced blockchain technology where we can take blockchain and speed up the number of transactions. So, for example, right now you can do about 60,000 blockchain transactions with the current ASE encryption. We can get that to about 900,000. That's per second. 900,000 transactions per second with the exact same security that you have, which obviously changes the way blockchain works. If you've done anything on a blockchain, you'll see specifically smart contracts are very slow on a distributed ledger. You might create a blockchain smart contract at 10 o'clock in the morning, and you'll get it back at 10:45 or 11 o'clock. Well, what if you got it back at you signed the contract at 10 o'clock and you got it back at 10 o'clock? It's a difference. Now, some people don't care about that. Some people do. I mean, obviously, Wall Street does, because if you have a transaction that you have a contract on, a derivative transaction that you want to have done, it's done, and it doesn't become effective until the contract gets received. It becomes effective, which could be as much as an hour. That's a lot of trading time you lose. So we've got those things. There's some medical technologies we have as well. We actually invented and patented a few COVID remediation technologies. One which John takes, which is called AVS. It's an all natural number of ingredients that we basically came up with and stack them in a way that they're very effective against COVID. There are no drugs in it. It's all things found in nature, and it works very well. John can attest to that. It reduces the inflammation in the body dramatically, and people with long COVID disorder, or people with COVID, or people who having issues with the spike protein from the vaccinations, we can remediate most of that, which is pretty cool.
What was it called? AVS?
AVS, yeah. And I want to get some to John. We're waiting on the next shipment to come. I think, John, they told me he's going to be here probably next week. So I'll get some to you, and I'll make sure we get some to Craig as well for him to try. And then we have a few other things, like, for example, we invented a ultrasound remediation of 27 nasty viruses. That may sound interesting or not, I'm not sure, but basically we figured out that there are certain wavelengths, ultrasound wavelengths, that basically will shake the spike protein so it collapses upon itself and becomes inert. In essence, if a protein which carries a virus has nothing to attach to the cells, then you're not going to get sick from it. We tested it on 27 viruses in vitro, and it works. We believe it'll work in vivo as well, but that's a whole new FDA thing. So we've demonstrated that to a couple of universities that like it. We actually wanted to demonstrate it to the CDC. We went to the demo. They brought 15 people from Pfizer with them, so we decided not to do that. But that'll come out in the next year as well. It's a kind of a new way of doing things. And then we developed a baffle for HVA systems where far UVC light can actually remediate viruses. I don't know if you know how that works, but far UVC light will basically kill viruses. And so if I put a UVC light on a air handler in a building or in your house, you would say, well, that should probably kill the virus, but it doesn't, because the virus is not subjected to the UVC light long enough to become effective. So we built a baffle. We engineered a baffle with UVC light in it so that the air does get exposed to the UVC light long enough to kill the viruses. We had to do it so that we didn't slow the flow rate down, and that took us about a year to do. But we did that, and those are two of the patented technologies we have. So it's pretty interesting. The ultrasound we built into a device that looks like a smoke detector, and it has a 5-year lithium battery. You basically would stick it in the middle of your room for 360 degrees. It basically anything that gets hit with that wavelength will become inert. Any virus becomes inert. And there's things such as Ebola, flu, HIV. I mean, we tested it against all these. There are 25 human viruses and 3 animal viruses that we can obviate with that. So that's some of the stuff we do. We got a number of other technologies. We built a single window custom system, which is being used in Sweden, the Philippines, in Serbia, where my partner is from, and in Malaysia now. And that's basically just an all-in-one system where customs officials can determine what comes in on a particular ship in a container, and they can basically we built a system so they can actually pay for it at the site before they leave. Because I don't know if you know what happens in other places in the world, but there's tens of billions of dollars that's stolen every year in product theft, and tens of billions of dollars of unpaid tariffs that are also done because of undercounting or not counting of these things. So we resolved that problem. We delivered that system in 2017. We've got a number of other things that we do, but we're kind of like a giant incubator for cool technologies.
Is this all under the same umbrella for Trireme, or is it another?
No, that's Trireme. All under
Trireme.
Trireme. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah,
Well,
so
I didn't know that, so I'll dig a little deeper. That's
yeah. I mean, I'm trying to focus. I'm trying to focus on the,
Yeah.
on the compression side because it's really a product whose time has come.
Well, what's the availability on that? How does that work? I mean, technically, I have so much, right? But if we were to say, hey, how do we implement that? How do we utilize it? Is that something documentation wise that we need through you, and we just call it from you? Is that something we
Well,
install?
okay, so here's what we would do. What we would do is basically we would do a needs assessment of what you're trying to do.
Sure.
So let's just say you're saying it's the state of Virginia that needs it, and let's just use that as an example. And they have X terabytes of video each day, or they have X terabytes of video they want to archive and hold, and then basically we would develop a plan for that. We could do a short pilot for you to prove it, or we could just basically deliver the product to you. Now,
Okay.
right now, we can deliver it so it's server side for you guys. So it's kind of like a box or a blade, if you will. And you can put it in your own server if people don't like people touching their servers, so they say, give it to me in a separate box. It's a plug-in, so it takes the input, and the throughput is what you have compressed. We've been working with a couple of cloud providers to do a cloud-based system.
Okay.
And the only issue we have with that is that we are having difficulty with, I say difficulty, let's just say we haven't developed the proper security we need for our technology. In essence, if we put it in the cloud,
Yeah.
we have to basically encrypt it ourselves, I think, and that could be a problem for people who don't want other people's encryption in their cloud necessarily. But so we're working on that. But we could deliver to you very, very quickly. I mean, I think that between a needs assessment and delivery, it's probably maybe 2 weeks.
Okay.
3 weeks.
So server side, and then if it was something like, let's say, this program PVM, or any web-based application that does video, right?
Mm-hmm.
How would that work?
So PVM is basically that's your video. Tell me.
Yeah.
Walk me through the transmission, if you will.
So what we're doing right now is we're utilizing a server-based, like Corrento-based server. It's it handles multiple transactions and connections, all server-based. So it's server to client right now. So everybody connects through our Corrento server, and then it just projects it out to everybody. There's also Twilio. We use their Twilio WebRTC. Not in this one, but in HIPAA-Link.
Okay.
For instance, so we just call out their connections, and then they do the rest of it for us. So
yeah, I mean, look, I'm not technically equipped to answer that question properly. I will say that we have not met a system that we couldn't work with yet.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it'll work with yours, but if you want to give me some specific details, I can have a conversation with Dr. Prokin, and then he can have a call with your tech guys and say, this is how it works, guys, and see if we can do it.
Yeah, I think it would certainly, it would be a huge calling to like hospitals and organizations that need that kind of like just real high quality, lossless video. Period. Whether it's seeing somebody in the ICU or in their room, or there's a bunch of opportunities there, especially people who are out in the field.
Mhm.
You know, you need to be able to call somebody up on an urgent basis. I have an emergency center out in Cincinnati, I think, that was
Mhm.
at one point looking for like for ambulatory. So if you
Yeah.
have somebody out in the field, they're doing an assessment
Yeah,
and
they're doing a triage
triage.
and they want to send a video back to the emergency room doctor, and he says, "Get ready, this guy's his bone is sticking through his whatever."
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah. Yeah. Again, that okay. So the lossless side of it we can do. We haven't set it up as strongly as we have just the regular video.
Mhm.
And because lossless we built actually for the ASC, that's for the American Society of Cinematographers. They basically gave us a challenge like 3 months ago. They said, if you can do this, we're gonna endorse you as the #1 video compression in the universe. So we did it, and so actually we've got a call with them tomorrow, Friday, which they're going to basically endorse our video compression as the #1 video compression in the universe. So, but yeah, it's all things we can do. It's a matter of what is the size of the customer. If we're going to have to go through a lot of development, we're going to have to charge them. We don't want to do that, but I'd rather just build it ourselves and say, here, use it. But again, if it's a specific use, we'd say, look, this is we'll do a demo or one-off for them, showing how it works. And then if we agree, then we say, these are the tools we need to do in order to build it for you. And we're going to have to, ask you to pay for that pilot.
Yeah, yeah. I think what I can think of is I can talk to the team, ask for a couple of examples, right? So send up a video, test the
Absolutely.
compression. I'll say, hey, this is what we're
Yeah.
currently
So
doing.
give me something
Yeah, something to work off.
give me something you want lossless, and give me something you want it to be that'd be just a normal video.
Right.
And we'll give you both of them back.
Okay. Hey, is Trireme oh, just lost the word. Is Trireme trading at all?
No, we're privately funded.
Yeah.
We're privately held, so we don't have any. The only shareholders we have are on this phone right now, and Dr. Prokin. That's
Yeah.
it.
Okay. That's a lot. That's a lot. So, yeah, I look forward to also seeing that AVS. If you get
Oh
that
yeah,
over to
AVS
John and everything too, and
We're actually we're negotiating right now with a group that wants to sell it nationally for us, and we've been down the path with a number of pharmaceutical companies. In fact, a British-based pharmaceutical company offered us basically 7 figures to sell it to them, and we just said no.
yeah,
We just want to buy it. We said no, we're not going to do that. So we decided we're going to give it about another year. We'll distribute ourselves, and if we can't distribute it the way we want to, then we'll just give it away for free and let everybody have at it. We think that the real travesty in medicine today is the fact that virtually everything is controlled by 15 pharmaceutical companies.
yeah,
It's crazy.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, hey, if you give it away for free or anything that you're doing right now, God bless you guys. That's
Well,
it's
you'll get it
great
for
to
free
see.
from us because we want you to try it. John can give you his ideas. He's taken it for himself, and he's got some other friends that had some issues. What you said you had someone with long COVID that, John?
Yeah. It's amazing what just, anti-inflammatory can do, but this actually works at a molecular level that's very unique. But personally, for my own health, I mean, I have a very unique situation, and I catch everything. And with the kids that I have, I'm always getting sick. But I started taking this in September, and I've only really been sick once, and that was with an infection, and totally different than the normal experience. My wife has a friend whose daughter, 26 years old, has been suffering severely with long COVID. I mean, she can't even work anymore,
Wow.
and she has started taking it and noticed significant change. And I can't wait for her to be on it 3 weeks and
Yeah.
to see exactly how it plays out. But they are extremely hopeful because of my experience with it. Because this young lady has very similar makeup as to some issues I have. And if it works for her like it's done for me, yes, she could enter into normal life again. And
That's great.
Yeah. So anyway, Craig, I thank you for taking the time to spend with us this morning. I appreciate it. And if you want to get us the stuff as soon as possible, we'll turn it around as quickly as we can, and would love to work with you. I think that, with the state of Virginia, particularly, what you might want to do is talk to them about things like traffic cams, CCTV footage that they might want to keep. So, for example, we're doing a pilot right now with Heathrow City. You know what Heathrow City is?
No.
So in the UK, Heathrow Airport is one of the largest airports in the world. There's an entire city that they've municipalized around it. They call Heathrow City. It has 351,000 CCTV cameras in it.
Wow.
And they monitor baggage coming in, cargo coming in, persons coming in, etc. But they're only able to, because of the size of the number of video files they get, they're only able to archive around 17 days of footage. With ours, they can archive a year and a half. So we did a demo for them and they went crazy. So we're working on that. But with the state of Virginia, you might want to talk to them about doing a similar thing. So for example, we have a number of police forces now looking at this, and the company called Axon, which makes the body cameras, to basically compress and archive in high quality, right? Interactions with their customers, as we might call them, criminals. In municipal buildings where they want to basically say, well, we've had these people coming in and out of municipal buildings that may be important for them to keep that. In courthouses and things like that. So in Virginia, we could make a big impact by helping them archive their stuff, and then even to add it to their current video routine, so that they could actually, compress it as they film it, so to speak, and archive a much smaller footprint. I mean, the cost is dramatic. We're working right now with a publicly held company that they ran a test. They told us the results yesterday. They basically said that if we have the same amount of business we did last year and we use your video compression, we'll save around $91 million.
That's insane.
That goes right to the bottom line. For a company that only made $900,000 in net revenue, that's 100 times your revenue in 1 year. Pretty good thing. So in talking to Virginia, you might want to talk to them about that. Okay. And then again, archiving what they already have, because you could basically put this in the background and they can archive it, as they're using it. As it comes in, they can archive it. That's a much safer way, a more controlled way of them doing it than having to go out to every camera, so to speak.
Yeah, that's absolutely what I'll do. I'll start probing the guys that I know, especially in the distribution area, and sure. What's the other word? I can't think of the contract negotiations that they do. Procurement, like they have an absolute one procurement department that deals with everything. Sure. So I got a couple of people I can reach out to. So I'm going to start probing.
Yeah, and what we would do with you guys is the same thing we do with John. John basically is a representative of ours. We would sign a contract with you saying that any customers you brought, you would earn this much.
Sure. On that. Yeah. Right. Okay. All right, John.
Awesome, Craig. Thanks for taking the time.
Pleasure meeting you. And thanks, John.
Waller.
John.
Yeah.
John.
Yeah. You're welcome.
All right, guys. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Okay. Bye, John.